It's 10 o'clock.
Say the prayer on page number 10. In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Ida Guru Nana Mendana Kame Yada Ya.
뭐야, 완전 정말 됐을 수 요지는 다른 가지다 좀 공지네. 다른 거 있어.
Good morning, all, and welcome. Let's begin our today's practice. Let's recite the mantra of Aryantara and then meditate while you are doing the meditation.
네, 아주 검절수다 리셈 리너 예스무 지 디직도 니 까마카시 마도요 마티랑라 데트와 지스 다리도 돈지 나가네 다리도는 셈네는 지도 먹고 아니 그거 다 리다 아주 레디오 바로 이 지도 끝인 데서 거처럼 셈나야 지도 좀 신된도나 좀 되려지르시.
All right. Again, as a quick reminder, and while you are practicing your meditation, by the means of the mantra recitation, and remember that you need integrate your body, speech, and mind into the one state of being. Meaning that, of course, physically you sit properly and make sure it's all the your entire body is in place in the perfect the meditation position, and then verbally and make sure while you are internally or mentally reciting or utter the mantra yourself, and make that the mantra recitation precisely and clearly, and then in your mind make sure that you absolutely clear and aware of what you're exactly doing, and so yes, so you're verbally you have to heard clearly aware that the mantra is being articulating or is being reciting, and then the mind is knows and or exactly aware of everything. So, and then meanwhile, you need to think about or you meditate on the image of Aryantara in case you don't have the picture of in front of you, and take a look at the images of the Aryantara statue that's sitting in front of me, and then bring it into your meditation. Make it occur in your meditative state.
다 같은 때는 막 로직인다. 대들 더 노시와도. 젠기 등 시주스 당일 젠당 젠라 당와도. 젠음 더진 송르샤 시 송와도. 루이 등을 강 지롱 대근 더라 만길 제시 로디 견리 다당 젠트 냠비 셈일담 다위 젠치 등을 디와 니땅나 대다 다위 젠돈 초트송 시당 몰음 든치 발이경 기우 뇨모 트리키 트바이 머기 총스 쳐와 청와 강라바 디 다나 셈친 닐와이 공영롱와 측드 홍을 홍영 사스 로와 남기 등을 공영롱 대근 덕기 땅트 랑월기스 직든 셈나 초트 대와인 첨리 따트 개와 시지지 시땅스 초기 담리경 랑기릴 땅 소땅 셈진 끝나 땅월샷 리진 끝나 샴바땅 양지 있는 캬버샷 드바근지 나면은 랑기게라 원도바 소놈 끝나 예랑땅 상기 다니엘 시월삼 시땅 랑기 리땅 소땅나 이기 지진 땅월샷 시땅 소차 남기 득바나 탐칠 달라 만바나 terter 득바 땅는 장스 로아 퐁이 등을 랑 시땅 젠 근덕기 샤와땅 랑기 텐라 젠트샷 시땅 뎀초 기실리경 셈진 근기 등을 달라만 덕기 기위 테근 데월쇼 체럽 근도 고슴 레리경 범정 버슴 샹소 다월쇼 시소기 탁진기 가 단지 파처 네 송소스 타트 예랑 서 링이와 요바 마이나 셈진 탐치 상지스 기르와 저터 냠나스 탁과 섬드 셰바나 네급지 정돈 인지 네돈 타트글라 데데 탁바치트 네데 산졸리 탁바 섬기 인종라 탁바치기 려우니 시소 탁진기 롱망보 데트르골 종스 시월 샤오즈 어떠월 로즈나
So please go to your translation and page 75, and the last from the bottom to the third line from the bottom. If you do not actually exchange your happiness for the sufferings of others, you will not become enlightened, nor find any joy in cyclic existence. And therefore, in order to come to yourself and of others, offer yourself in the service of others, and protect them as you would yourself. And whatever the agonies of the sentient beings may be, may they all reaping the ornament of the Great Difficult Sutra says, finding the mind that equalizes self, and others, or or values others more than self is good. Thus, it is thought that others' welfare is superior to one's own. The 70 prayers says, I would not mind being thrown into any of the hells as a result of the slightest misdeed by sentient beings who are afflicted by poisonous, disturbing emotions. Whatever the agonies of beings may be, I volunteer to accept them all. May they always engage in virtue and be satisfied by supreme happiness. The special verses collected by topic says, your body and your life should be given to all sentient beings. Love and compassion should be given equally to all living creatures. Earnestly wishing all evil to ripen upon your mind stream, rejoice in all merits, and think of the great beings, the Buddha. And you should give away your body, life, and mind, and let all the misdeeds of all living beings ripen on me. By accepting all their misdeeds, may these beings avoid suffering, and make others' sufferings your own, and give your own happiness to others. Samvara's ritual also says, may the miseries of all sentient beings mature on me. May they enjoy happiness due to my virtues. In all my lives, may my three doors be transformed into the excellent vase and the wish-granting tree. So, this is what is taught in many of the great ethical texts containing the Buddha's words and the commentaries to them. But should you wonder whether there are not those who belong definitely and ultimately to the lineages of Theras and solitary realizers, how it should be possible for Buddhas, you should know that of three vehicles is interpretable for temporary purpose, whereas in the ultimate and the definitive sense, there is only one vehicle. The expression of the name of Manjushri says,
어디서다 조언이 단디 도로 디셔나 그래서 그저나 직당 가도 치 냥어서 치 냥큰 그 성지 좀 된데 치 송치 송나양 더만이 고즈네 고고래 등근이 가가 미카 파송 밀 정치와 삼로 등등 꼴찌라 아니 티조즈네 티조즈데 고파 어때 시기데 sarkopa na pa chilo la da da no mato soso pashola da tu nyam soso lo pandong ke nora me ta ga soso otri she song sa da da ne ta chi nyen dang de de chi ge chi yores kor chi ga o de she song de de soso rangil gela jar chi soso rangi ke tela nyam ne chi ti she ti ding de soso ta rang tang ga jar chi ne nyam ne chi soso tharwa to ba chu chi ge kor chi yores kor chi ga ne or soso rangil la samlo tangba na soso rangni chibu mai simchi tamchi chikpaim ba simchi tamchi dewado ba chikpa dingal mando ba chikpaim ba tende samlo tangde simchi tamchi ke tonde ning pe chinyamne jene yamsling ni samlo kheng chi yores te jada 지금 성직이 채듯이 늦어져라 아니 지금 삼바 만다고 이거네 근데 삼바 야채 종군이 탁바 채종진이 탁바에 때도 냠는 거를 마시고 냠는 거를 바디 삼루 야채 종군 쉐기 요레스 때자다 아니 단다 자호자지 강라 때까지나 제또 종카시나 아니 리진 섬진이 아론 지그 탁바 첨부 리진이 때라 안에 소소랑이 그다 좀 거부 토소나더니 아니 탁바 소소랑 그런 탁바 다득더니 조소르세 든디시고 때 뭐니든 말해지 뭐에 내들 가서 년종 소소 땅보 코랄링 요 종을 소소 와라와게네 아니 다 답변이 여러 로지는 여러 다 좀 보고 또 요모 스폰서나다 득송 섬티마 또 요마 나 대시위 양라네요 삼가 타와치 몰라나 시니 다득 탁바식도 너무 띵 담질라네 상기위를 요래지 어때시고 대자다 상기위를 요아티 디 돌로 다득 디자로 뜻이거든 그러나 대자다 강원수다 셰데고 아니 디 종데가르 탁바셴부 종으로 대 다지 타바셴부 종녀스랭 그전도 네 다 다진 담보 다진 냠 버삼바 근데 다진 지월 삼바 어다 디강네 아니 직샴 딱냥지 곰네 냠는 지야 뜻이고다 셰교 아주 치듯이 뜻이고다 아니 아주 냥근데 냠는 지가 소소소다 리치 소소 만다와르 대자 감동미와 강림 받다 레스 때다 디 오들라 다진 냠지 dordi chi 든 dom deochi go deochi nonyongchi 냠ne yogo 등이 이시고 때문에도 셔을 섬여 분야로 지시
Based on what we have just read, is quite clear, and that we are taking the same teachings. Right? In fact, all individuals who are fortunate to attend Buddha's teaching or be able to hear Buddha Dharma, Buddha's teaching. In fact, they all hear from the same individual Buddha. But as a sutra, and in Buddha's in the sutra point out, even though Buddha utters the sacred Dharma in a single tone or the single voice, the beings who who heard what the Buddha have said may be various or differently. So what does this mean? That Buddha said one thing in a one word or in a same tone in a with one and statement made one statement, but that very voice or word statement can be interpreted or can be understood by various audience or the individuals variously. So that's why, and Buddhist text, you will see that there's a particular term referred to or identify a particular group of people is called hearers. So hearers and or the people, the individual who having heard the Buddha's teaching and then able to liberate it. So this and others, of course, they would not got liberated or approach the Buddha or benefit from Buddha's teaching in the same fashion. This sounds like the Buddha's teaching essentially being given as one, but for some people, that very teaching is like a journalist or journalism, a journalist who draft or composed a piece of article, a news article, and then put up there. So that very news can be approached by the different individual in different way. For some, that is just news. Oh, I heard such a thing happened somewhere and done by a certain this person, and for that reason and in that particular manner. So that's just like a piece of article or news. That's it. But for others, upon they hear the news, they will see that there is opportunity, and then there is some kind of a deep meaning and value in it. Then they will take that very article or the statements and upon to themselves, and then integrate that into their own very existence or their life circumstances, and then responded accordingly. So what this means is that if we take this to Buddhist teaching, the way people are treated in news media, the news, right? And take it into the context of a Buddhist teaching, as we mentioned, that the Buddha taught, gave it the same teaching, or one teaching, a particular teaching, and that teaching can be heard at least like in the general speaking of three different individuals. One individual is that who haven't heard that, so that, oh, this is going to do something good for me, and I'm going to respond to it, right, and do it, and then or sort of to enhance my the quality of my well-being, my state of well-being, or the quality of my life. But others who haven't heard that very teaching and who would determined to develop the mind of the renunciation, and who will realize that the samsara, or this repeated pattern of death and rebirth, is awful, and would like to free from it. So, and then they approach the Buddha teaching accordingly, and then finally reach the point of state of greater peace, and technically called nirvana, or state of Dhammakaya and Dhammadhatu, and remain in that blissful, peaceful, and transcendent state of being. But and those beings are at some particular point, and then they would reflect and the conditions of others, and then they could depart from that the state of great peace or bliss that benefits just for themselves, and then they will turn in to approach the Mahayana path, the Bodhisattva path, and determined to be Buddha, and for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's why, and you have heard that, like in the sutra, in the regular compassion of Samavara's ritual, right? And the author cited it here. It says that all beings, right? Essentially explain that although the beings are here, the same teaching in a very differently, or they interpret the same teaching in a different form and differently, but because all of them, after all, or ultimately speaking, they all are endured with, or invaded with, and then naturally, and coming along with that Buddha Gota. Buddha Gota, or the Tathagata Gaba, Buddha nature, the enlightened nature, since every single individual, without exception, endured with the Buddha Gotha or the Buddha nature, enlightenment, the nature, the seed of enlightenment. So therefore, they will sooner or later they will join the Mahayana teaching, and so that's what we are talking about. So we are here, particularly, and discuss the form of teaching, and that is the Mahayana, belong to the presentations of Mahayana. And so therefore, our approach is that based on the scenario, we understood that the Mahayana path and the practice of bodhicitta is the definitive teaching and is the solely the path, and so therefore we straight ahead approach this teaching instead of like others who would sort of turn around. So that's why, and we began to reflect upon our own sufferings, and then think about the wish of our individual's genuine wish to be free from suffering and want to obtain the happiness. So we reflecting our situation, and then by fully understand our circumstances, our genuine intention, and so then we turn around and switch to and others. We fully realize that that's exactly the same thing that all other sentient beings are looking for. So therefore, we equalize. So the first step we're taking is that equalize self with others. So equalize self and other. That's the first step we're taking. And then once we achieve that point, and then we turn to move to the next practice, that is and to exchange ourselves with others. So this is how the Mahayana teaching, and the essence of Mahayana teaching being designed, or the teaching being given and to the trainees such as us to adopt. And so next I'm going to talk about the following, and there's a very brief instruction, and precisely talks about how you do this kind of practice. It is easy to understand, and but immensely important to practice, and I wish you pay close attention to it.
Oh yeah. 가정의 존에 형지 삼양지 곰땅 안에 대전에서 동ling 냠는지 등그런 바로 다 놀라지를 찔라지 방부 셰다 셰 방부 송요르다 쓰는 가로 셈는 다 어디를 그래서 도동로 주다 다 렌트고요 말와 대다다 델라페 놈데오로 돌디니다 바 시행어서 돌디나 델지리스 거르다 상미 셈는 것도 이거 지금 당네 어디다 이거 년지도 셈나 좀 토이나 당하고 깔리잡네 내용네 이게 시 년지도들 저 개변 용서서 그러다 대차당에 딱 돈은 이유 노르디테 골 셰천너즈다 동동 렌 돈은 이유데 노르디니 파고알렌 당도 가르 셰그르즈나 대니 롱라 쪼버샤지 다 롱고당들 송요스 노르니 까시오다 이 롱라 쪼버샤 롱자데 아주 민데 겨와니 마시파르도 롱트 기오르 으데 야르레 마르렌 증아도 인친 페머지니 로데오스 테라 자르네니 냠는 치고레 스테서고다 때 간다지 지에서 돈은 간다 롱라 자르네 간다 시겐즈도 돈은 이 종이 체나드네 동당 렌즈네 동파 소수지 지지 소수 파당 선전지 등을 렌즈로 동렌세도 돈도 들어와 돈은 간다 지게다 랑기 롱 셔 나고니 로이 체지 랑그 롱 셈동는 코네마 칠와 동요서 디 냠테 셈파 지지 롱 동의 지성 리 롱초 디슴지 냠키 탑지기 셈지 탐질라 당와 당스 디 냠테 롱토 또 냠테 아니 리 당아주 요테 가랑 수 리티 요르멜 들어 리티 강라다 데 롱초 비 롱초 예놀라서 바리 롱초 아니 디슴지 기와 디슴지가 다타 기와 상지바 마오나 상지 제우 디치 종 저와 어떤 탐지 아니 심지 탐지라 파 당송 파젠 스테테네 심지 탐지기라 대화당 댄송 삼바 삼로데 아니 다 샴바레 심지 대화당다나 삼바 소와도 대바데 dak지월 dak은 이 파동와 때다냠데 심지 탐지기라 데치당다바 데치담비 사와로 젠로치아데 소소글 리롱 쫓티스는 교화당 지와 탐지기 지송 섬 파당하다 대딱 탐지 서바메비 대화 타트 또 넘버 삼성 뜻진이 파동하다 냠데 데파 심지나 짐바다 냠데 심지 탐지기라 대화 섬기 미치바데 톱송 섬데 링을 섬 탐지 리 대화당 셈 기바당 리 대위 아니 나마트 셈 대화 잠마인 바 셈기 땅라지 아주 게슴 잡을지 총송 데리가 삼로지 땅 롱나도 내위 체진네 롱스란 레미치나 감슴기 아니 심지 탐지기 길 겨니 다 등에서 등에 용사데 근종라 근종 요모 아니 마르피 온거 도 당전가 온 거더니 저등 기위 뛰어온 거다 난이 잡을지니다 링을 있은 거 쇼발했더니 종이 등에 대자 등에 근종 제어던 지와 등에 탐저런기 영도 스라랑 심지 탐지기 겨 등을 종서기 제당 등을 당지와 탐지 소수기라 파스랑송 섬데 데르트로곰나 랑테즈 데 탐지 느끈 말리와 자월사모스 데 정도 심지 탐지기 기기트스를 랑어서 심지 탐지기 기기 등에도 근종 탐지 제어던 저 제송 섬지니곰 데르트로곰나 롱섬 지바시 셈 마양상 잔시당 담버 잔시드 담비 또 치우르기로 데자다 데르트로는 진더니 고마이나 의 당보 의 야당 마당 텔레삼로당 때냠테 셈때 의당 롱냠테 삼로당 로트고지 틴 로트 소다네 롱도 플로와당 소 샴바곰니 심치탐지 대와당 담바 소소글링에서 이위서 탐지진이 대와당 대송섬 안데서 낭라 테리소 안데 심치탐지 능가당 텐디 소수gel라 랑송 자송 섬네 진이 롱숨 측반 지지바자 롱당 셈205 열미치니 셈 덤덤하나 롱도 디추이기 sab지는 로다오잖아 셈드 띵냠디 로토에나 오다 곰베 데 단시기 섬베데 근도 잠바당 시즌 잠바세나 데리그 곰jogo 셈니 마지바 잠바 진니 시즌 세드 시 샤라진니 셈기다나 가르치기 세지오라 섬노 데 양정 당에나 오다도 곰 역쇼데 더 가서 동는 곰 지수 냠스 역쇼데 데레스 오다 시기오데 자데 결혼데 섬노고 당진데 치 농도 마토메데 페 삼로 당진이 영즈 삼로 당 영섬 삼로 당하면 삼비던데 야고던데 하고 주때다 양 곰토와이나 다 아주 디칼이 잡잡네 료 로즈남도 똑바나 렌주 그때 렌탕지라 요르 삼로도 세 등알라 로이나데 치 용농 마토모데 ngal 펜도 쳐보듯이 어때 좀 밑에 참말라지 당알라 펜벤도 참말 펜지를 빠지는 게 데려와 장기요스
Okay. So what is important, and also very simple, and like I said, immensely important is the in what is here it says that the the practice of the giving and taking. So this giving and the taking is here, according to the author, is can be practiced through or by the means. What we say here is should be made to ride on the breath. Ride on the breath. So this practice, the essence of entire Mayan teaching, the giving and the taking, or what we talked about the most quintessential instructions, the training one's mind can be achieved by the means of giving and taking. But the giving and taking, again, can be achieved by the means of right on breath. Right on breath, or made it to or can be carried out by the means of right to the breath. Here, right to the breath means that essentially, we as a natural sort of phenomena, we do have this breath inhalation and the exhalation. So our life is dependent upon this sort of natural phenomena of breath in and breath out, right? We have been talking about how to practice kindness, loving kindness, and compassion. How to practice that. We also discussed about how to rely on or how to through the means of giving and transforming the physical environment and then transform the inhabitants or the beings who living or dwell in the physical environment. So we did that like how to giving and taking, like by visualize that the physical environment and all the inhabitants in our meditation. So we have discussed about that. But here, in a very concise, a very convenient way to practice is author and discussed by the author or given us by the author is that we need to take the trainings by the means of right to the breath. In other words, to properly use this very natural functionalities or functions of phenomena of breath in and breath out, and that brings the essence of Mahayana teaching and that's this natural phenomena of breath in and breath out integrated, or let our breath in and out emerge into the essence of the Mahayana teaching of training of the mind, the giving and the taking. So this is, I think that, if you fully pay close attention, fully understand that, and you don't need to really make a whole lot of effort. Okay, but with some reasonable effort, you can get, or very simply, by the simple and most effective way, and without engaging into hardship, you can obtain a great deal of the benefits. So this is training of giving and taking, and is immensely important and immensely effective. But the question is how you do it now. So you have now, as we talked about the breath in and breath out, and the mind stream. Right? So our taking has to begin with the way we breathe in, our giving, and also that's on this natural phenomena of breath out. So first of all, when you giving, that's giving all you have, such as your body, and that's the most important thing, that you own it, right? You own it, your body, and then all your possessions, and the virtues, deeds, or merits, whatever you own it. So when you exhalate and think of that you're not simply just let this breath out, but this breath now is the way is exhalating is actually is not just simply the breath itself is the sort of going out, but rather all things that you own it and you can think of and you can give it, and now through this breath out, you give it to all sentient beings. And that's also including all the virtuous action you accumulated in the past, the present, and the other that you're going to accumulate in the future. So you give them and freely, right? And think that all sentient beings and benefited by your generous, the practice of your generous giving and all that you have it. And so this practice of giving, not just simply sort of send out, but it's reached or it produced its highest result. That result is that upon receiving all that you own and you gave it to them, and they not only enjoyed or appreciated the temporary the benefits, such as like the healthy body and the happy mind and peace mind, a mind of peaceful mind, but ultimately, and they through this way, and by enjoying the physical well-being and the healthy and the peaceful mind and the happy mind, and that lead them further to the point where they experience the non-contaminated state of bliss, meaning that the pure, infinite state of bliss. So that's what you're thinking, you're giving to, right? And also, you think about your giving and through the exhalation, the process of exhalation, and made them, in fact, individually, each sentient being, their mind, and be able to generate the great and forceful mind of virtue. So they themselves is so much inspired by the all that you give to them. So now in their mind, they experience the very forceful and a tremendous altruism to determine to dedicate themselves to all the virtuous actions. So this is basically the essence of giving, right? When you exhalate. Now, like you said, the ride on the break. So when you practice taking, and taking again, so that follows the natural course of the breathing, right? You breathe in, inhalating. While you inhalate, as we studied before, we discussed it before, essentially, and samsara, or the entire the samsaric living environment and the living experience, in fact, is misery, and by its nature, right? So it is first the truth of the Four Noble Truths, that is dukkha, the truth of dukkha, truth of the suffering. But this suffering has the cause, or involved with the cause, is the production of the cause. That cause is samudaya, or the causes of the causes. That is the disturbing emotion and the karma. The karma, afflictive emotion, or disturbing emotion, are the causes of all the suffering, the samsaric suffering. Now you understand it. So you understand this is the case, this is the scenario, that's the reality. So while you are inhalating now, and you think of you taking all individual the sufferings that all the individuals are experiencing, and including the causes of it, they are on each individual suffering. Not just the suffering, the truth of the suffering, but the truth of the causes of suffering, the samudaya. And so you are taking from the continuation of all the living beings out there, right, and sort of roots out all the suffering and the cause of suffering from each sentient being, and through the inhalation and transform and upload it sort of up onto yourself. And simply speaking, so you are aimed to take the results of each individual's karma and the karma itself. All of them are through the process of this natural process of inhalation, and you take it up onto yourself. Not just a particular individual, but all sentient beings in the entire 6 realms of samsaric existence. And so since we are breathing and in other words, we are depend upon this natural exercise of breathing in and out 24/7 in all the time. So therefore, it is important and pay close attention in all the time to your breath in and to the process of your breath in and your breath out. So by pay attention to when you notice your breath in, and then immediately think about taking in the suffering and the causes of suffering of all sentient beings. At the same time, and pay close attention to your process of breath out. Whenever you notice that, oh, your breath out, then immediately put your practice of giving, generosity, and to this very natural course of exhalation. Think that now you are giving your body and your possessions and all your virtuous karma and anything that has a spiritual quality, you give it to them. So we as practitioners, we do need to practice actually through the courses of 24 hours in a row. We must adopt this methodology and apply and the very technique we just discussed, and we must try to or stay in that the course of that exhalation, inhalation. We do this by the means of the 2 very important techniques. One technique is be mindful, or in other words, mindfulness. Another is mental introspection, or the awareness. So mental introspection, mindfulness, that's the 2 protectors. We must apply, rely on them, and use them as like the spy, right? And constantly checking on us to make sure and whether we are doing the spiritual training by acknowledging we are breathing in and we are breathing out. I think that this is the meditation, and is the simplest, and it's the best, and the most effective one. So yeah, so we we need to do this on a regular basis and repeatedly. And I think we have talked a lot of things, and we have discussed the various teachings and all kinds of the discourse. But this is the one I think that is the most simplest and the most valuable, and has the most qualities. So I myself find this is very important and very, very beneficial. Of course, and it doesn't mean that can be applied to everyone all the time. However, I appreciate this teaching and this practice, this teaching very much. The giving and taking by the means of breaking and break out. So I hope that you think it again and again, right? Whenever you, first of all, just to pay naturally and to pay close attention and see how you breathe in, how you breathe out, right? And once you get used to, familiar and to yourself, and once you develop the mindfulness, and that sort of alert you, right, from time to time, say, oh, now you're breathing, or now you're breathe out. When you get to the sense of you're naturally noting what when you are exhalating, when you are inhalating, then you take this very natural process of inhalation, exhalation, and emerge it or integrate the essence of Mahayana teaching and the giving and the taking, so make it as a very powerful spiritual practice.
我对这但你那么是东西那我吃到那点的这钱个的，但是对年的sem当龙什么有的年包几个的，就是的sem那嘛就了占把个担保中间的样，经历么什么东个的，对就但你那刚刚说呢，东连子呢东个的东个的呢，怕东啊的年的个 sem 那个什么东个的呢，想把什么东个的，想把那看着这的呢，想当年就是想谁的，想把谁的。 देवा samlut shambarawa teta simcheta je dewa tang na sambe samluti tang ne te demba ji sosu pha tang at nyam simche dewa tang jinsong sambe samluta tang go res ko sra nang lendi tso nyangji gom go res nyangji se ti to no karos nyangji se ta simcheta dinga ta chana sambe samlo jiro teta simcheta dinga le chana sam dinga chi so so sra nang so simcheta dinga sra so ten lang tang samne otte gom go res otte dor ro dina te shere तो से मिखाशी समतंग रहोगा तादा मांग मत ड्रॉ तंग नहीं हो सो रंगी तादा दिंगल के पापे पापे तेरी नाना नहीं दावरे ते जंकी दिंगल सरा तंग लेना तेरी ता योड़ा थेवा कांगा थेवा मारे वैसे तेरी समलो योरते जतंग आज लो कोंबा मासोना ते वही नहीं चिक तेरी योंगोर ता समलो कोंबा तो शिंबु चना ते ले लो मार जंकी दिंगल तंग समझ जन ला देवा तंग दाना सो रंगी समला ड्रॉ पे होंगे so draw pe so so jen ki dinga ta dewa tang da so sem na gawa ki so te so te to nyam de draw pe so te la gp zonji pe na matri nyam nen ko te pe wa shira phan to yong go te sa te yong go te nyam nen jang wa na ka te ma jang na yong go ma jang wa na rimbe lo ko te pe ba jiro yang kashi ge te na o semje ta dewa pa jin ji ding ni che go na ta te go ma de nga de 그게 민두고 안에 되지 삼동도 삼로 근론동니 제때 응이스 제트나 비나비 게인도 지나 게인티 파 연든 속텔라 측지 파제나 측때 의기 파농니 측때 도둑 셰는데 파쇼티 하고 소나 파쇼텔라 대화진 말 샴바진 말 텔라 네치치 정으로 코티 측때 빼줬다는 몽바직 제송을 몽바 제용서 띠지 등을 제위 자샤데 등을 제라 제때 소수지라 소소고 서라 렘바 소도 등을 렘바 소 등을 서라 랑네 소소 이침이 나고요 말 베나 미치라 교랑 세지 점바이나 세지 집에 파쇼티게 도고 제가 송해나 때 대화동 담바 차로 코 파쇼티 도고 제가 대화동 담바 때 홍게 등을 아니 도고 또 등을 세워 때 대화동 담바 등을 세워 초초롱 세지 집에 티 니왈 때 종아리 ina chorung ngenta sing rosong chambu tangar mato soso jela dengan sera nyongni soso gete nyongba tende yang yo amara te samlo khashi tende phashok dinge te samanonda ngi natsa de samanga na gor sam tende samtona pus tok song te chi yo amara os tonen chi tangere ba tende chine tende samtonda bi komo yorso ani 샴땅냥 지긴 도덕도 요거 하고 tene 파면도 요거 하고 tene 랑당 전이가 당보 당신 냠지 요거 고마이나 랑당 nga랑 소소 띠동나 바트 대화당다나 서버 등은 떴다나 서버 삼로도 요 소소 랑도 내가 뭐 칼리 약타 거미 소소이 돈다 내 집에 장와당 차와당 때들 칼리 뭐 잡고 때 가르치 소소 대치기 친세고 가서 뭐 마음으로 기부치기 이제 데리기 쳇때 민심을 칼리 야고 뭐 요리나다 마음 대치 용투다 지르고 인자 대치바 삼지 탐질라 대치바 초와 대치바 요래 삼톤 삼지 삼지도 냠바 용 랑당 당진이가 냠바 삼지데 대화도 파치바레 등만도 치바레 영 삼톤 다 정말 치바레 삼로 저도 전 당진이가 치바도 삼로 그래서 그래서 남지 소소라까지 대화도 삼한테 전라 삼로 땅 듣고 요래서 어때 공리 표서 랑리 전 사바 삼동도 어떤 가세 미치그레 니 심지 담자 망보도 가랑 뭐 리기 롱수까지 땅고라 땅 탑그레 삼로 줄때 사업에 삼바세 때 라베 삼바오는다 다른 비치네 니 지 상집지 셈세 상집 셈세 때 심지 대화당 다나 등을 따라나서 때리 점점 많이 봐 대화당 담버 지치 대화당 등을 따라올 지치 자와때 닥치오 닥치와라 따다 다때 니와 메비 차니 다 당마오는 당원벌 상기 바로 좀 받고 냠는지 당원벌 상기네 and the Niwa Telatin Simchi Hamchi Dingle Tekin, some Samlo, Shansi Sems go. There is Yelachis on your Shan Semas on the what that around Lord the Kajet Shigo, teach got water in the Tansra.
Yes, so just to emphasize, it is the simplest but the most important elements, the beneficial method technique and of giving and taking by right on the breath and the breath in and breath out. So we know that when we say exhalation or inhalation, we are talking about our own experience of this the process of the air or the in and out experience of the air, we call it breath. So we naturally breathe out, right? Or let the breath that goes out. And we also naturally let the breath that come in comes back. And so what do we? This is the kind of a natural process. And this natural process, speaking, is in a very natural. It's run through the over the course of the natural, very balanced way. So now we need to take this very equal and balanced natural experience of inhalation and exhalation, and give them a very special meaning, or transform them in this natural process, that transform them into a highly spiritually meaningful. So that's why when you are giving, meaning that to take this natural the flow of the breath out, a special meaning, a spiritual value, that is kindness, right? And then that is no longer a natural sort of a breath, a process breathe in, but rather it's now you are executing a very meaningful, a spiritual enterprise. You're undertaking very powerful, the spiritual enterprise that is kindness. You are acting very kindly meaning that when you break out, you are thinking that the kindness, loving and kindness being carried out or being sent out and given to and all other sentient beings. That is why this is a break out. It becomes very special now. This is because again we know that the nature of the kindness is that you wish bring the joy and to others. To bring the joy and happiness into others. That is the very nature of quality of the kindness. Now you are doing that by the course of the break out. So now, at the same time, when you breathe in, right, you are no longer just naturally notice that something is naturally taking place, and we call it, oh, I'm breathing in or inhalation. But rather, now you are taking in with this breath, along the inhalation, you are taking all the sufferings of others. This is taking all sufferings of others and in or loaded up onto yourself and let them ripping on you onto your own mind stream and make it and the others be able to separate or free from the agony, the sufferings, the dismay they're experiencing. So that moment of separation or created sort of a space between the sentient being who is suffer and who is be able to separate from that very experience of agony or dismay. That is the essence of the compassion. So this, when you're taking, inhalating, you are actually inhalating the very phenomena of the suffering of others and the causes the suffering of others. So this very exercise, the breath exercise of the inhalation now is not breathed in, but is the practice of compassion. Like I said again, so the practice of the essence of kindness is to bring joy to others, and you did that, or you're doing that while you are breathed out. And the essence of compassion is free all others from the suffering, and you are doing that while you are inhaling. So this practice of giving the happiness to others and taking the suffering of others upon you can be questionable, or can be even make it can be very challenging to a particular individual. For some, and this is might be think that this is idealistic, and even they may well reject this kind of practice. I personally have been approached by individual while I'm discussing this practice of Tonglen, or the giving and taking practice, and the individual who approach me and challenge me say, I myself already have enough experience, enough suffering, and so I'm no longer, I don't want it anymore. So the question arises, arrested by the individuals like the one who approached me, and obviously tells that they are either misunderstood this practice, or they're not ready for this practice. meaning that they haven't yet familiar, get used to, or familiar with this powerful practice. But when you start as like we discussed earlier, like by pay attention to your natural flows and flows of inhalation, exhalation, and by the means of mindfulness and mental introspection, and when you feel you are constantly and naturally noticing and what's going on, how they have been taking place, and then how they're occurring, you can integrate it, right, and transform this natural process of inhalation, exhalation, and into a powerful spiritual practice of Tonglen. And then, of course, at the beginning, it will feel challenging, but then when you get used to it, when you really are accustomed to it, or mastered this powerful spiritual technique, then instead of you feel hard, actually you feel the absolute opposite. Okay? Instead of feel threatening, scary, and being challenged, and now you feel being inspired, and you experience the great joy of all three. Instead of feel hard and being challenged, right? You feel a greater joy, right, and empowered, right, by the forces of altruism. That is because now your practice is giving you the value, a strong sense of value, a strong sense of meaning. Now you see that you are doing something that's absolutely meaningful and absolutely beneficial, and it has immense spiritual benefit and value. So this sense of or a recognition of doing something beneficial and very helpful and give you a joy, and that's very joy and appreciation and makes you further feel the power of joyful perseverance or altruism. Right? So we need to gotta train ourselves in this particular the technique. And sometimes maybe people will think, well, I have nothing to give, and how can I benefit others? That's not true, right? So in fact, you can by doing a little, you can really achieve a whole lot. For example, if you a teacher and you teach someone, right? You essentially probably just teach one word, say one word, or one sentence, or something. But that very word or sentence help others or resolve the big problems or huge obstacles that challenge them. So you see that one word, right, or one sentence is not something that's a whole lot. However, when you look at it from the quality, from the results point of view, it is a rather very, very beneficial. So therefore, the virtuous thoughts, right, a virtuous action, and such as like taking others' suffering mentally and giving and all that you possessing has a spiritual quality and give it to other. And this practice, it doesn't hurt you, right? But it benefits others. And it's just like I can think another example. So somebody is hungry, right? Who need food, and you have food, you have the extra even. So now you give it a portion of the food from your bowl and give it to other. It doesn't hurt you, but it is freed those who are suffered due to the lack of food. You see, for you, it's a very small, a little, and not a big deal. But for those who are experience the hungry, tremendous hunger is means a mountain. So therefore, this practice of giving and taking a donglen and is also can achieve the same result, meaning that you physically or substantially, and you're not really experiencing something that's tremendous, but you can achieve immense positive outcome. So the bottom line is that we need to practice this and gradually, and we know that there is a process, step and to the point, but rather it's a step by step. So we have to go through the proper process and then aim to achieve our goal. So meaning that first of all, you reflect your own condition, like we talked about. So you as an individual, you do not want suffering, you want happiness. That's very natural. That's your natural inclination. And then you think about how about others, right? You look around, you think of anyone, you know exactly the others want the same. And then from there you inspired and then look at and say, you as the individual, just one single person, but others are infinite, right? And so as far as the suffering is concerned, your suffering is much minor compared to those infinite amount of people who are suffering out there. So this gives you the meaning of you experience a certain amount of the suffering for the benefit of all others, and the enterprise or the effort you're making, even to some extent some amount of the hardship you are experiencing is not a waste, but it's a meaningful and has great spiritual values. So think of this way, yes, and by starting by reflecting your own experience and then looking at others, on to the stages of equanimity, right? And then from stage of equanimity, and then you move on into the exchange self and other. By equanimity and by reaching the reflecting upon your situation, and then move to the stage of equanimity, and then from there you began to practice giving and taking online, and then once you reach the conquered result, and then you practice the exchange of self and others. So this is how the steps are going, and so one step by others, one step you taking up on, and by build up the first step. And so this way, and you will find that that's not hard or is unspeakable, but rather it's kind of meaningful and easier. So anyway, we have to transform this practice and upload it into our own heart and have a feeling, must have a strong feeling towards it with this practice. And so with that sense of inspiration, sense of the empowered, and then you can make further progressions. So I think that this is Yeah, that's yes. So now then you move on, and right, and from the exchange of self-other, and you then you develop what we call the altruism. Altruism is the pure intention. The pure intention is now you no longer think of anything about yourself, but you think everything of others. So then next you develop the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. And so your aim now you shift your aim and the purpose of your life and the purpose of your their existence is that to attain the Buddhahood and for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that is how we see this, you practice the Mahayana path from a very basic level all the way to Chitta.
야, 나 뒤쪽 송도 저 틀린다 요나 같이 요나 송로치 네 거도 나 뒤쪽
So
메뉴
I think that, our time is run out, and you unless you questions, otherwise we do the dedication.
나 요차 말디 너나 다나 좀 너나 미 싸와 지지기 저거 대 결혼 조용 지더니 참치마로 지트나 민영바도 같이 오치세 같은 고집동다 곰 로몽 잡던 데르지 대낭 디가 지종마 디노나 싸와시 그래서 마음을 또 가르쳐
그래서 지혜로 빠지는데.
지지하러 고쳐 다들 싸워지고 등이 멍하고 그거다 대랑 싸워 줘야 돼.
All right, maybe.
야, 송다 안돼 다 되셨으네. 넣었어? 송다.
I just had a quick comment. I don't really have a question, but as you were speaking, I'm trying to think of practical ways that I could incorporate this practice. And so I just wanted to share some ideas, and it might be a benefit to others as well. Anytime we're waiting in line, traffic lights, for example, waiting in line at the grocery store. I work part-time as the tutor in a school, so the bells are ringing throughout the day. If I happen to notice the time, it's the top of the hour. We're doing mundane tasks, folding clothes, washing dishes, whatever. These are all really good opportunities while the mind is kind of resting or kind of idling. Those are wonderful opportunities to practice this Tonglen practice. So that's just my 2 cents. I thought I would add. I try to make things as practical as possible and incorporate teachings in a way that it benefits others, but it's also simple and easy to apply.
Teresa motivale se model nyamnyung kone konstati ga do champe do tebi jaya ta kayo trian ro ani yamna moda ge lo ma bo yo sa ni moda do ya so ro ta de min ta wa ni wo do de kong la de pon de do de so tong ba sin do a de lam sa ti ta ti tong la sin da de de bom de ta na de de ba ti so do sam ko la len che ni don't have it here. Maybe I'm going to go back to some of these, and if the thing is mysterious.
Nossa, te pego, são, laço. Nem tinha
Then
아니 이게 저기 공부 잡고는 나다 랍달이래 딘자 나 동체 침시 til아요와 딘자 니 돈don서 수수수 나도 돈 바로라 니 mambuche 네두길라 센체 마이로와 딘 아니 군수 센체디 그 니시도니 어당한 나사데가 미피 고소니 나고 같은 투소 센체지 이게 센체디 네두들아 도와라 차이도와 딘자 센체디 is the gopajaya yamana nyoachaji gonjaya yamana the molanga yamana so tang kandeji pento sari
그래, 다 기똥 때 가서
저는 제가
oh yeah so I just have a quick question, which is like currently I'm on my college campus and so we're all getting tested and everything, but I feel like there's still a lot of anxiety and nervousness around COVID, especially with everything that's going on. So there's always like, oh, am I sick? Or that person I heard is sick. So like, is there any ways of through meditation or through ways of thinking or any prayers that will help like reduce that type of anxiety or help you cope with it better?
그래 따띵이 남지 셰드 때 존지크 때 삼당요라 따까디 지스요는 때라마가지시 까디 지스면은 때라마가지시 펜셋 때 갈라스나 페펜도지모 때 카르토도 카르쇼나 따까디 가조 지 나차트 마용을 공고지 카티 잡을 lokwachi be zabzu yuten 가조 같이 모르데 지 요아저와 어때 지지네 때 지지메라 나송에나 다 지기메르 때 쇼 셈트지는 용어요 말다 소소 영 한강로 동거 가르지고도 어때 전 맞추지 유트마도다 남아용화 섬에 남도시다나 남독고 탐에 바랑아도 어데 건트리 니마치가 땅아도 니지고 시와든 있잖아 봐 다때 쇼지가 진짜 삼동도나요 때 야침보다던 남농도 용수족과 배들이 타마 잠농 직진 첨부 넣고는 지금 로기 오래자 아주 미치다 준준 번당지 그게 말 셰네 땡키다는 냐면치 셰레 다때 강들 마시 공당에 잡습지는데 배추 요거 직당지 밀리 배추 요거 돈에 저는 패마토나 노마케지 된지 삼당게 에 반데 시송님도 셰레데 저쇼가 때 착심로 당전도 쇼 맞지나 대점 가요 말이나 냠디 내 당전지 요 말을 배 이겨 말 때 놓고 잡고 놓고 잡기 요초 전에다 마종나 제요 말 당아주 미생아주라 저 몰음 전에 멋지 당들줄라 시기도 왔대 치 조송아이나 딱 지금 만비 룬루지아 동만바가 멘탈에서 펜토기요 말지 치 요네네 파트 쪽이 파트 쪽이나 때라 지금 만게 펜토고 룬루 샤브름진의 펜토고 때 송키브지가 때 용고를 시대자 안에 조소소 소가 레세드 지 탈 레세드 콘드로테 멘비 공을 때라 예당 견 지지 요나 때 지소고 때라 심트마지 팔 샤와 지쇼고 때까지 지기 매위 내당 주고 지기 매와 내세나 저때 심트마지 지는 펜토고 마 심트지는 등을 태워도 마도 telije 용지요 말에 뜻이고 때때 합사 같이 벌성 나이나 남기 때 섬당기요 어디나 참도마 딱 갈레포로 때때 용거들이나 참도 소소랑 그런 셈다 파 레시도 이제 소반로지 다그때 지나 스텝한도 어떻게 해서 다 친구도 고있더라 그거
Oh yeah. Yeah, to answer the question is that it reminds me the shortest shortcut is that when we refer to the Chenkidiwa's famous quotes, if there is a way and you can resolve the problem and why you're worried about it. If there is no way you can do anything about it, and what's the benefits, what's the use of the worry? And I guess this is the simplest way to answer the question, meaning that, when we facing any situations, in any different kind of scenario, first of all, you need to immediately assess whether you can do anything about it to overcome the problem. And you ought to try and think of the means and assess the situation and very carefully, and then try to fix it. If to the best of your assessment, if there's no way and you can do anything about it, then just like Chenkidiwa suggested, there's no use worry, and other than make yourself feel bad, right? So similarly here, as like the pandemic or this infectious disease, right? And it's a highly contagious and it's a difficult one. But here you have to differentiate it to what extent you are mentally superimpose, projecting the badness of this situation up onto the actual reality, the things that are there. To what extent you are they're aware of it, right? And you very clearly know what's going on. So therefore, we must get accurate and clear and correct understanding about this highly contagious infectious disease, the COVID-19. And but we must not rely on or give it let our what we call it is the discursive thought. The discursive thought is the fear, the thought that's triggered by fear and by the sense of this overly react to the situation and then superimpose the all kinds of badness upon the situation. Then in return, you make yourself feel powerless, right, and feel hopeless. So that's the distinction you must make it. We know that. So if you're looking from the cosmic point of view or cosmological point of view, after all, one day, and there is time to the end of this particular cosmic circle. The entire existence, which we are called this the world, will be vanished, will be gone. And if you compare yourself to this funnel, the destructions or the dissolution of the world, and we ourselves are just like a little tiny worm. Okay? So it's really is not that essential or that critical, right? But having said that, and we must to know that we must draw the clear distinction between the self-grasping or self-attachment and the nourishment. So we have to see this, the differences. Self-grasping or self-attachment is the self-centered is the result of produced related is the self-cherishment. So self-cherishment, as a result of self-cherishment, you are attached to yourself. That we must fight. We must fight with that. The attitude, because the self-centeredness or the self-cherishment is, after all, is mistaken, is baseless, is illusionary. But self-nourishment is different. Self-nourishment is you based on the clear understanding of the reality of your life, the sort of limited the lifespans that you may enjoy, and the limitations of your world existence, right? Then, at the same time, accept the limitation, right? Accept the conditions in which you are living, and then think about how you make it meaningful and take the advantage of this limited human existence and produce the most positive and most something that's most beneficial, right? And then taking good care of yourself. So self-nourishment is the best upon the clear understanding of your value and the importance of life, and also the highest spiritual goal, and then taking care, right? Fully use your human life, and that is self-nourishment. But self-cherishment or self-attachment is, we know that's mistaken, because you consider yourself as something eternal and the solely and or Unitarian, and So it's like autonomously and acting or exist autonomously, and all this we know that is the baseless, right? So anyway, and towards back to this pandemic and disease, and we need to take very good care of ourselves, and by the means of eat well and the health and hygiene, right? And like you're washing your hands, you be aware of your environment and the person you're going to contact, or the person approaches you or you're going to, and all this contact, the physical activities and your environment, you must be constantly aware of it. That is what Lashan Shiva say. If there is a way you can avoid it, right? So if there is a way you can avoid it, then just do it, right? And you don't need to worry about it. Why? Because you can do it. Hey, but after all, you did your best, meaning you wash your hands, and you eat well, and you sleep well, and you manage your the hygiene and properly handled all the each of the step that you're taking publicly and privately, and but yet since you still got infected, then other than you accept it, right? And still you can accept it, right? And go you see the doctor and start your treatment and try to overcome it, right? Other than that, if you worry and you feel very sad and bad, and it doesn't change the reality, isn't it? So therefore, even if it just occur to happen, you still need to be positive and still try your best to take care of it. Otherwise, just worry and feel sad and bad is not going to change the situation and useless. So I know that it's a kind of so convenient to say, but even myself sometimes I find that this is a very challenging. You do all the time, but I think that all we need to do is just try our best. Otherwise, what we can do, right?
야. 강아지 모르면 큰일 났어.
Prayers.
담바대랑 강점 러로징 있는 거야.
Right. Somebody is not here today, and let me lead the prayers.
자, de 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 savor se je yave ma shong chen la zhou shang qiu la ji re bei yang tan do nan ye ye la hu de shang ya wen za ba rong de zhong ji lang zong zhe bei ten jian zhe xi xiang ga jian se xie me dong me men gen ce re gan de yao yin o ba yi nam dang nam dang zhe wu ma ji ji gang zi ta ban xiao la qi zhou zhi ce zhe la zu ba de yi zi te de nan ye da de zhou xi zhong zha xi yang zu xiu gen jia yi ji Orden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Dabge Nyengar Bami Tangxi Na Kachin Chenpo Guni Jizong Kasong Tgeji Ngizhe Zade So Shangshi Semcho Rinpoche Marji Wane Jijir Ji Jewa Nyamba Mebar Kone Konde Pewar Sho Kangre Rawe Korwe Shankan Zi Pandang Dewa Madi Jongwe Shanzhe Zhang Tanzi Yanzu Yi Shepe Sindi Warde Dangir Ji Zhongwe Huo Chitren Kemba Dang Kende Zhongwo Deyang Dejin De Deda Genji Jisi Zalo Ngewan De To Tamzi Rabde Ngo Disum Shabi Yawa Tamzi Yi Ngwa Gangla Chode Ngaba De Dajin Giwi Sawan De Zongwo Choshi Rabde Ngwa Ji Pandi Zhongli Tamba Darshang Yi Tanzin Jewu Tamzi Gengam Zong Li Jen Gengla De Jilin Zhongwi Sangye Tamba Tangde Jijir Ji Tserwa Gende Yawa Zongga We Tangzhou Xinyin Ngisi Zabe Yawe Ngabe Lanzang De Nye Li Kachi Zanyang Do Burma Yir Oh ya, Tchi Xie Ka Zhen Xie La So Ni Di Nong Na Mi Chi Yu De La Ke Lo Kwa Chi Chi Zik De Zi Mi Sa Wa De Ka Chi Da Yu Chi Xie
Oh yeah, thank you and have a good day. And we have a new practitioner who has joined us, and I wish after or before the class, and so you guys can